now to put the spotlight on Keystone Realtors and discussing what the earnings picture has been like. Boman Irani, of course, from Keystone Realtors joins us on the show right now. Hi, Boman. Good to be speaking with you. Well, surprisingly, your pre-sales numbers have come in a bit strong. And I say surprisingly because rest of the peers were putting the blame on the Shraddh period that it's seasonally a weaker quarter. And that's why their pre-sales have been on the lower side. What differentiates your performance?
Thank you, Anisha. Thank you for having me on the show. Very quickly, let me tell you that we've been saying this over a period of time, that the way we are working is we are working with projects that are made for the market. We are always studying the market before we enter any market, the type of product that's needed out there. I can just state this, that we've already launched 5 projects this year. And we are looking at 8 projects that we're going to launch at 6,000 crores, out of which 4,000 crores has already been crossed in terms of GDV. The way we work is that we kind of study the market and then launch projects or products accordingly. And that's why you see a very strong uptick in our pre-sales, almost 129% over the same period of the last year.
So if you look at your first half, you have achieved a pre-sales of close to 1,300, which is nearly 44% of your guidance that you had given for FY25, which stood at close to 3,000 crore rupees. Are you confident that you will be able to achieve this guidance of 3,000 crore? Any chances of surpassing it in the second half, given the fact that sales in the second half is much better compared to first half?
Yes, Amit, I could not have put it better. And at Rustomji, we always look to have customer delight, and I'd like to continue the same maxim and look at investor delight also. We have given a guidance for 3,000, but I can tell you that we are at 44%, and now the best 2 quarters are yet to come. Even last year when we were there, we were at about 40% of pre-sales of the year when we closed the half year last year. So this year we are slightly ahead, and the kind of projects that we have in the offering, the products that we have in the offering, we are extremely confident we should be able to surpass the guideline. Don't ask me to give you further guidelines. I will not, because I want our investors to be delighted. And I'd just like to add shortly out here, that we have also launched or entered into the area of plotted developments. We are seeing a great amount of interest for Rustomji projects in the plotted development, and going forward, we should be having a greater play in that market, the plotted development, because land is the ultimate goal of every investor, and we want to make that land acquisition absolutely simplified, safe for the investor's future.
Land acquisition is something that you're looking at simplifying and delighting customers and investors alike. But just wanted to get the understanding in terms of where do things stand between the split of residential versus commercial, because I understand the pipeline is quite large when it comes to the residential business. I think 22 thereabouts, but the commercial one is a bit muted per se. Are you looking at that as a very strategic call, that you're looking at getting deeper into residential versus commercial?
I can say this to you. Rustomji has been a residential development company as such. We understand residents extremely beautifully, and we'll continue to hold major of our forte or our share in the residential markets. Commercial is being explored. You must have read that we are also in an MOU with Keppel Data Centers, where we are exploring data centers. We are also looking at a smaller amount of commercial development mid-city, which will allow for very high-end commercial development in Bandra, along with our partners Ajmera, and also in Thane, where we have close to around 4 million square feet of commercial. We will be exploring that. But having said that, that will always be with a strategic partner or a financial partner coming in. With residential, we are extremely confident with our spread across the affordable, mid-mass, and aspiration, which is the main category where we are focused on. 14 out of the 17 acquisitions we've done in the last in the period so far have been in the mid-mass to aspiration category, which is the largest category of Mumbai and MMR.
The reason, Boman, I asked you about the commercial bit is because that entire data center and GCCs is something which is picking up. And I read few headlines that talked about that you are looking at getting into that. Just wanted to understand if that's clearly the idea there, that you're looking at getting into the GCC and data center space?
Data centers, definitely. We've already forayed extensively in it. We've been working for the last 6 months, but as is our strategy, we want to stay asset light. So we are focusing largely on our redevelopments. And further, I'd like to state, before I understand the long-term ability that Rustomji can make a change in the data centers, we will explore it to that point and only then enter. Keppel Data Centers, our partner, is a very strong developer of data centers. They've got extremely good reach into the markets as such, and we are definitely counting on their expertise after their partnership with us, at least the Keppel Lands partnership with us in residential. For Thane, we are now looking at them going ahead with us in the data centers, and only with them as a partner will we move ahead.
Okay. So since the time the company has done its IPO, the company has announced nearly 17 new projects with a gross development value of close to 15 to 16,000 crore rupees. Now, of this 17 projects that you have announced, only 20% has been launched. If you can share the launch timeline for the remaining of the projects.
So generally, the acquisition to launch is roughly around a year to 13 months. But sometimes, you try to maximize certain projects, and that is where some amount of extra time is taken. But I can tell you that between project acquisition and launch should not be a period of more than 2 years' time. Having said that, I also want to state that generally the time taken is from the time the agreement gets signed. And the agreement gets signed roughly around 3 to 4 months, depending on how the society believes they want their tax structure worked out. 3 to 4 months after the 79A process or the LOI being issued to us. But given from there, it should not be more than 13 to 16 months by which the projects get launched.
Right, sir. So you also did a QIP of close to 800 crore rupees, but your gross debt is still at around 450 odd crore rupees. So no plans to reduce this debt. How are you going to deploy this cash, and any timelines of when are you going to deploy this cash?
My net debt is zero.
Right.
My debt is 438 crores, if I'm not mistaken, and that is really nothing. It's 0.17 of the debt to equity ratio. I actually have a lot of headroom. I'm also sitting on close to around 900 crores of dry powder to be able to deploy it in the markets, where we believe there's going to be tremendous gain. And as Rustomji's philosophy has been, we've always stayed asset light. So that is why the time to invest would be roughly around a year and a half is what I think. And more importantly, you can expect us to be in the market in MMR, exploring all kinds of development, including maybe making, if it is extremely beneficial for us, an outright purchase of a piece of land.
And just before I let you go, any specific micro markets that you're eyeing at the moment, or you expect them to come up in a big way?
In the Mumbai area, actually, I can tell you that any place that is being linked by the infrastructure, we are all blessed with great infrastructure boom that is taking place right now. So I can say that we are on the Versova belt. We are there in Prabhadevi, where we are expanding our footprint. We believe on the western suburbs, we've always been a key developer that's always been sought after. We are also entering the eastern suburbs. We are launching our project Basant Park in the first quarter of the next year. And as far as the eastern belt goes, I think Chembur is something that we will continue to focus on. Chembur Sign area is extremely attractive, given its linkages to the rest of the city and also the infrastructure boom that is taking place out there.
Well, sir, thank you for joining us and giving us all those details. Well, with that, we will shift into a short break and we'll be back with